Hello and welcome to the 2020 Bendigo Invention and Innovation Festival. To begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay my respects to leaders and elders past, present and emerging. It's the BIIF's 10th anniversary and we're delighted to have your company for today's session From Bendigo to Brazil, where we lead the world, brought to you by Osmine. Our guest today is Christine Gibbs-Stewart, CEO of Osmine. She has been working with mining equipment, technology and services companies to help them succeed for the past 13 years, drawing on her vast skills developed over 3 decades in international business, industry development and general management. She also has extensive experience working with governments in Australia and abroad to develop and deliver industry and economic development programs. Today we look forward to Chris's thoughts on what makes Australia a global leader in the mining equipment, technology and services sector, and she'll introduce us to a new program that will help our local sectors conquer the world. Welcome Chris, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here. It's great to be invited to speak, and well done to all the organizers, particularly Paul and Allison for pulling such a great program together and giving us something to be optimistic about. I really love the theme, optimism through innovation. 2 reasons, well, I guess 3 reasons. Really, I think we all need to be focused on optimism at a time like this. And from a personal point of view, I think I'm quite an optimistic person. And from a professional point of view, I represent one of the most innovative sectors in Australia, if not the world. So fantastic to be here.
Well, we're very delighted to have you and look forward to you sharing your optimistic outlook on life with us and the opportunities that are available to our local METS sector. So I'll hand over to you now and join you at the end for some questions.
Thank you. Osmine, as I was introduced, represents the mining equipment, technology and services sector, or the METS sector, and you'll hear me use that a lot today. And in many respects, we are the unsung heroes of our resources global dominance. The growth and development of the METS sector in Australia has really been a mirror of mining development here. And it's been that close coupling, working together, and symbiotic relationship that has made us the leaders we are today. And how is this practically demonstrated in the METS sector? Well, here are a few fun facts for you. First of all, METS companies export more annually than beef, wheat, and wine combined. We produce 60% of the world's mining software right here in Australia. 75% of the top 100 largest METS companies are located here in Australia, employing many thousands of people and investing a lot of money, and 33% of those companies are Australian homegrown. On top of that, 24% of the world's most innovative companies, as ranked by a US technology publication, are METS firms. So those are all great accolades to have, certainly. On top of that, the importance of METS to the Australian economy cannot be understated. First of all, mining and METS together has an economic contribution of $237 billion annually. That's approximately 15% of the Australian workforce. METS employs over 400,000 people, and that's more than double what mining employs directly. And combined, that's 10% of the Australian total workforce. METS companies are also very internationally focused. And I noted before that we export more than beef, wheat, and wine combined annually, and that totals about 15 billion in exports each year. METS companies can be found in metropolitan, regional, and remote locations. They contribute greatly to the community, and they're often the heart and soul of what happens locally. So, who are these METS companies? From a Victorian perspective, it's a broad range, from startups to small companies to some of the largest companies in Australia. They're advanced manufacturing firms, they're consulting firms, they're technology companies, they're global engineering companies, There are those who deal with precision automation, communications, telecommunications. There's specialized services companies. They're large Australian firms, they're not-for-profits, and they're education institutes and research organizations. And in fact, Orica, Australia's largest METS firm, has its headquartered in Melbourne. As you can see, the METS sector is really, truly a tapestry of any modern economy. Now, several years ago, we did a study on the Victorian METS sector, and what we found was that, first of all, Victorian METS companies are very internationally focused. Their market is the world, not just the state. Next, there's a strength in manufacturing and advanced manufacturing. And finally, there's a plethora of dynamic, high-tech, highly innovative, smaller firms, which makes the METS sector in Victoria extremely rich in knowledge and experience. Closer to home, and in more regional locations in Victoria and Bendigo, that same focus and ingenuity applies, with companies such as SAFESCAPE, Hoffman Engineering, Keach, and Australian Turntable. These companies are all exporters, they're all highly innovative, and they're all leaders in what they do. And there's also a number of startup companies, high-tech startups, such as Rattlejack. Now down the road in Ballarat, we have GEKKO Systems. And GEKKO is really changing the face of mineral processing and is one of those iconic METS companies that have won a number of awards and exports about 90% of what they produce. And with the university, Federation University there, regional Victoria is really an innovation corridor. And with what's happening with the new gold rush, no doubt this innovation will be leveraged even further. To set the scene further, I thought I would just talk about some of the challenges which the mining industry is facing and why innovation is so important. First of all, it's just getting harder to mine. You no longer have the resources on top of the ground that you can see, and the mineral resources are deeper. They're more remote. When they're pulled out of the ground, they're lower grades. They're more complex to get. And many of them you can't find because they're under such thick cover. There's a whole lot of environmental aspects as well to mining, including water scarcity, energy cost, the fragile ecosystems that many mines are located in, and of course, issues of waste and tailings. There's also social license and community issues, and really, it all boils down to people working with the local community and having that social license to operate so that you work together cohesively and harmoniously with the local community, and many of those being METS firms. And these challenges aren't unique just for Australia. They're the same all over the world. And this is certainly layered with the accelerated pace of change that we're all experiencing, with the digital disruptions we are currently facing in our daily life. The current challenge, therefore, is how you turn this digital disruption into an advantage for the mining industry and where mining fits in a digital revolution. Now, looking at this image and reflecting on it, I can't help but commenting, it kind of looks like the coronavirus. And as we know, the current situation has certainly amplified anything digital because we're now online, having meetings every day on Zoom or Teams, and really connecting digitally, delivering our services online. And what the coronavirus has done is really accelerate the adoption of automation in mining. It's really brought it to the fore as mining companies want to ensure that their people are safe. METS companies want to make sure they can communicate with their clients and that they can deliver the services and products that their clients need. And some people would say that what has happened with digital in this current pandemic is that it's actually accelerated the adoption of technology some 10 years. And I think Australia is ahead of the game when it comes to that. And in the face of all these challenges and the digital disruption we're facing, over the last 5 years, we've really noticed a significant transformation of the METS sector. First of all, we have a lot of traditional METS companies who are now redefining themselves as a technology company. It's not the box that you sell, but it's the smarts inside the box that is important. Services, traditional engineering firms, for instance, are redefining themselves as providing, for instance, data analytics. And through the technology lens, companies are really embracing Industry 4.0. Next, we've seen a lot of new entrants into the MET sectors and technology companies, which you think wouldn't be involved with mining at all. Amazon, for instance, is one of them. Microsoft is another. All big technology companies realizing the value of the mining industry and what it means for their business and getting a slice of the action. And then the other thing that we've noticed is really the number of vibrant startups that have come into the MET sector, providing a whole range of products and services and really on the leading or even the bleeding edge of what miners need. The technology tsunami is certainly upon us, and Australian METs are leading the change. You can see a lot of what's happening through the driverless trucks that are in the Pilbara, the automated drills, the driverless trains, and the port operations, which are almost fully autonomous. There are other very exciting developments around artificial intelligence, cognitive computing, things like digital twins, data analytics, robotics, drones now being used extensively, both above ground and underground, to map mines and to make sure people are safe. So there's a huge range of technology coming out right now in mining. And most mines, a typical mine operates these days by hundreds of apps, which is downloading terabytes of data every day. And the data is being used to make decisions, and the decisions are being made through software which the METS sector provides. And if there was a Silicon Valley of mining, it would certainly be here, because it's really high-tech, groundbreaking stuff that our METS sector is providing. This is the mining innovation ecosystem in Australia, and it certainly runs deep. Our ecosystem is very mature, it's somewhat complex, and it's highly integrated. You can see here the various players that make up the ecosystem. The mining companies, certainly, the core METS companies, research organizations such as the CSIRO, education providers such as Deakin University, Federation University, and Melbourne University. And of course, government plays an important role in the innovation ecosystem here. This innovation ecosystem has really allowed us to do three things here in Australia. And the first, and I've been talking about it before, is we're really ahead of the curve when it comes to technology and innovation and the application of this on mine sites. Next, it's really fostered our very vibrant and entrepreneurial METS sector. Our METS sector wouldn't be as successful without this ecosystem, which supports them in many ways. And finally, it's really driven a very high level of collaboration. The conversations we're having now are really about working together and the need to work together to be successful. Recognizing that companies can't do it alone and that every player is important in the ecosystem and every player is important to solving challenges. Many countries look at Australia with envy in terms of what's going on here and try to emulate what we have. This is certainly true in Chile, who has been tracking what we've been doing for many years. Peru is also talking to us about what we do. Markets such as Canada, for instance, also look at the Australian mining innovation ecosystem. and try to learn from it. And we do share what we're doing here with them because it's important to develop these partnerships overseas. So on the collaboration side, which the ecosystem is driving, it's really manifested itself in a number of opportunities and in a number of collaboration programs and projects where there's actually a significant amount of money at stake. For instance, there's the Oz Minerals Explorer Challenge, Newcrest Crowd, which is a continual, almost hackathon that's available for companies and people to participate in. Rio Tinto's Pioneer Portal, and another program which I don't have up here but is relatively new. It's BHP's $10 million Tailings Challenge, which is being run across the world, and the challenge based out of Chile. So really exciting stuff. And then we have organizations like METS Ignited, who is actually providing grant funding to make collaboration happen. And over the last few years, METS Ignited has contributed about $15 million of funding to help collaborations between METS miners and researchers move forward. And there's about 20 different programs that they're funding, and all very successfully. Another example of collaboration is our partnership with BHP. Osmine and BHP signed a strategic partnership in February, which is really focused on doing things differently, opening the doors to BHP for suppliers, helping METS companies develop better partnerships within BHP, opening communication, and really allowing more access. As a result of this, in June, we launched what's called the Supplier Innovation Program. And really, this brings together all elements of the partnership in that it provides increased opportunities for the METS sector. It breaks down systemic barriers. It opens up operational challenges to METS. It provides an opportunity to talk to BHP personnel about the challenges that they're facing. And then it provides a test bed and funding for the solutions to these challenges. It's really a new way of looking how innovation occurs within a mining company. It opens up opportunities for a wide range of METS sector companies, and those companies are located, again, in metropolitan areas, in regional and remote areas, and provides access and opportunity that wouldn't normally be available. And it's really exciting stuff, and it's all with a view of accelerating a world-class METS sector. And when you boil everything down, it's in terms of what's happening and the success that we've had, it's really about innovation, and innovation is the key. Innovation has made us competitive, it's fostering new industries, it's grown new companies, it's set us apart from others. And this is why we are so successful on a world stage, because of our innovative METS sector and what they're doing to improve and change how mining operates. Now, we saw some stats before about how much the METS sector exports, $15 billion a year. And METS are really export focused. METS companies have been exporting actually since the late 1800s, when they started going into Southeast Asia and looking at mineral deposits there and helping those be extracted more efficiently. What we know is that 66% of METS export, and that's a huge percentage, and that makes the METS sector one of the most internationalized sectors in Australia. Now, METS export to every corner of the globe. Key export markets include, I mentioned Southeast Asia before, Indonesia, Chile, Peru, Canada, markets like Ghana, USA, PNG, which is a bit closer to home, and Russia and Kazakhstan. And that's just to name a few. But we know that METS companies export to over 200 countries. Now, granted, exporters are really doing it tough lately because they can't be out there traveling, seeing their clients, delivering services. And international freight is such that product delivery has been a problem. But certainly exporting is a long game. And what we're seeing is that many countries, as they go through the pandemic or start up operations after a period of shutdown, are really looking to Australia to seeing what they're doing here. They're looking at our protocols, they're trying to emulate what we're doing, and they're looking at the technology that we also brought to bear during this time. And certainly, we are a great example of this innovation and ingenuity in helping us get through the global pandemic. Now, this is only one of the opportunities that we see coming to the fore in the next little while, and hopefully we're out traveling sooner rather than later. But there certainly are many opportunities, and companies who don't currently export in the METS sector have a lot of companies where they can follow in their footsteps to be successful offshore. So maybe some people listening are thinking, but really practically, how do I get from here? How do I get from Bendigo to Brazil? I have no idea even where to start. Well, I'm really proud to be announcing today a new program. It's called the Victorian METS Export Hub, and it's operated by Osmine. And the hub will focus on and operate through 5 regional centres in Victoria, which is Bendigo, Ballarat, Stawell, Geelong, and Latrobe Valley. And what it's about is about creating a network of export-focused companies in regional Victoria, connecting them into Melbourne to increase opportunities and dialogue with exporters and companies who've been there, done that, and to really build capability and understanding to accelerate growth of export opportunities. It's really important that regional companies are linked into metropolitan areas and also, obviously, the world, so they can get indication of what's happening on a strategic level, not only from a state point of view, but from nationally. And this program will help companies get involved in those conversations and help companies get involved in that innovation ecosystem, which I spoke about earlier. What the hub will deliver are many different things. There'll be a virtual mentoring program, which will link, as I said before, new and growing exporters to those who have been there and done that. There'll be advice and guidance on exporting, so online tools, referrals to relevant existing training and business support programs, and there'll be tailored advice on export strategies and plan. We'll look at what companies in regional Victoria need, and we'll provide capability training based on those needs and tailored to industry trends and market opportunities. And we'll also look at global supply chain projects where we'll work with international customers to package integrated solutions, those solutions that METS companies in Victoria can provide for current and emerging needs. The benefits are many. First of all, it will connect companies to a network of like-minded businesses, other like-minded businesses. It will provide first-hand access and information on global supply chain opportunities and international projects, which we'll specifically pursue. You'll get to know existing exporters and leverage their experience. It will build a range of business capabilities, international business capabilities. Companies will gain overseas exposure. They'll understand the changing mining paradigm and where you fit into it. It will link you into government programs and funding, and it will grow your export business. Now, this program is a partnership between Osmine and also the federal government, where we've received funding through the SME Export Hub grants, and that is through the Department of Industry. And also the Victorian government Department of Jobs, Precincts and Regions are a major partner in this. So we look forward to working with all those departments to make sure the Export Hub is a success. I'd like to introduce Gordon Chakadosa, who will be leading the Export Hub in Victoria. He's just started with us and is kicking off the program. And he will hopefully soon be out to regional Victoria to talk more about the program. But in the meantime, and stay tuned, we'll be launching the program most likely online. We'll also work closely with what we do with Austrade and Global Victoria on this program and the Earth Resources Department, as I mentioned earlier. So if you're interested in the program, reach out to Gordon. You can see his contact details there, or you can find more information about the program on osmine.com.au, and you can actually sign up for the program there. At Osmine, we're really proud to be championing the Australian MET sector. Last year, we celebrated 30 years of taking our expertise to the world and really making a difference to what mining does. If you're interested more in what Osmine does, feel free to reach out for us. Feel free to reach out to me. But in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and keep on innovating. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris, for your presentation and sharing about the Australian MET sector and its continued growth going from strength to strength. We're also very excited, of course, about the Export Hub and Bendigo's opportunity to be involved in that, and we look forward to welcoming Gordon to Bendigo as soon as we're able to do that. You describe the region as an innovation corridor, and in a global sense, what does this mean for the growth of the sector in Bendigo and Central Victoria, do you think?
Well, I think there's a lot of very innovative companies in Central Victoria, in regional Victoria, certainly plenty of METS hubs. And one thing that these companies will bring from a global sense is what they are doing in the gold sector, for instance. As we know, with the commodity price where it is right now, and seeing that gold companies are some of the most innovative companies in terms of their application of technology, because they need to be, because it's so hard to get gold out of the ground. I think what we'll find is that there'll be a lot of companies in Central Victoria who will be able to bring their expertise in gold mining to the world.
We do have some very successful gold mines here in Bendigo, so we're very fortunate there. As you touched on just then, it is getting harder to take the product out of the ground, and the grade is not always particularly strong. However, you also did mention about digital twins, robotics, above ground and underground technology that's continuing to evolve. So what excites you most? What do you think will further change the sector for the better?
Well, I think what we're going to see is that the mines of the future won't have any people on them. They'll be smaller. Just as a surgeon does keyhole surgery, miners will do keyhole mining. And that will mean that, it won't be so controversial to have a mine in your backyard. There won't be so much opposition to it. And in fact, one day, I hope that regional mining communities compete for mining projects because of the high-tech, highly skilled jobs they'll bring to that region. Because even though you might not have a lot of people in the mine itself, you'll have a lot of people looking at that data, analyzing what the ore body looks like, seeing where the next seam is. And so while they might not be doing the physical work, hard physical work, they'll certainly be using, I guess, their brains to do the work. And mining is really becoming an industry of the knowledge economy.
It's amazing to think how mining can evolve like that. Do you think some of the smaller mines in regional areas are better placed perhaps to adapt quickly and start to move towards that idea of keyhole mining perhaps?
Absolutely. I think some of the smaller minings have been a test bed for technology already. And it's some of those companies that I mentioned and some of the startups that work with some of those regional mines and are able to test their new products and services there. It's very hard to test your product in situ on site. And the small miners, they're open to it. They're agile. They don't have large bureaucracies to go through in terms of getting those approvals. So, the other thing that could happen in Central Victoria is it becomes really a test bed for a lot of these new technologies that are coming to the fore, not only from regional Victorian companies, but from companies around Australia.
Yeah, I think our local mines would absolutely welcome that. How good has the pandemic been then for innovation in the sector overall, sort of propelling it, whether you're small or large, to adapt?
Well, it's kind of a tale of two cities because in one way, the pandemic, hasn't been good for the industry at all because it stopped people traveling. A lot of our members with border closures are finding it really tough because they can't get to mines for installation. They can't do some of the testing on site that they're already committed to doing. But what it's really highlighted is really the people and safety aspect of things, and kind of really accelerated that idea of autonomy, taking people away from site, taking them out of harm's way, having less people on site, having different forms of communication. And we know some mines where they've really cut down on the number of people that go on site, but they've been able to operate that mine at full capacity because of the technology that's being employed.
That's amazing to think that they've been able to do that and to be able to adapt. But of course, there's two sides to a coin, and not all of it is always good news.
Yeah.
Back to the hub and the announcement that you made today, 66% of the METS sector are exports overseas. So how will this exciting new hub, do you think, help us see more of what we make here in Bendigo around the world?
Well, it's really going to provide guidance, knowledge, and understanding of what those opportunities out there are for Bendigo companies. One of the first things that Gordon is going to do is get to know what kind of companies are in Bendigo, what their capabilities are, what their unique selling proposition is, and looking at how we package that up and how we market that to the world. So I think, with the work that we'll do with the Bendigo companies, understanding their capabilities, and then looking offshore for specific opportunities for those companies, we'll be able to really almost work as a team to bring a package to a customer, a country, or a certain project. And so no doubt we will see many more products and services from Bendigo in mining sites internationally.
I think it's very exciting for our sector locally to be able to have that connection with Gordon and into government to be able to help export them and to get their products overseas whilst they're busy doing the doing of making and creating, that you're helping to set up those relationships. So I think that will be very exciting. You mentioned education as a key stakeholder. So how can we future-proof the industry and engage our young people to consider METS as a career down the track?
Well, we have to let them know about it. It's as simple as that. I don't think young people think about mining through a high-tech lens. We actually run METS STEM path. A METS career pathway program focused on STEM students. And once we tell them about a METS career, once we tell them about the opportunities that is there, how people in METS travel a lot, how how they export, and what a career looks like, students are interested in it. I think part of the issue has been that we really haven't yet let young people know about what METS entails and what's in it for them.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very sophisticated and would be very interesting to young people. They just need to know about it, of course. So we just need to get the word out there. Yeah. Bendigo is in the midst of a gold rush with more land soon to be allocated for exploration. So what will the industry look like in 10 years, do you think? And what makes you most optimistic about it?
Well, I think we'll see more gold mining in central Victoria, certainly. And I think given the technology that we have at hand, those operations will be very sophisticated. They'll be run very efficiently, and they'll be done in a way where there's very little impact on the environment and a very small footprint. And I guess that's what makes me optimistic about it. The fact that we can bring our technology to bear and improve what mining does every day, offer young people opportunities in high-tech careers, and bring it to the regions as well. Here you'll have an industry which will be homegrown there in Bendigo, and it will attract other companies to the region because of that.
Well, we really do look forward to that and to seeing the sector continue to grow here locally. Thank you so much for championing the Australian METS sector, but also including regional Victoria in your vision and helping support our growing economies here in regional areas. So thank you so much. We look forward to the rollout of the hub and, of course, the many opportunities that will bring. So thank you for your time today.
Pleasure. Great to be here.
All right, and thank you also for joining us today, wherever you may be tuning in from. Take care and goodbye.